The day has come. The day is here. The day has come. We're gonna properly speedrun the Rlaarlo.
I'd buy that for $1.
So we have a few things to do today. We're gonna do some settings. I think the gear mesh needs to be set and a few different things. And we're gonna try to make the gyro work or replace the gyro. We're gonna get this ready. We're gonna take it out and we're gonna speedrun it. We're gonna see how fast it goes with the motors that came installed in it. Now, they are not the motors that were supposed to be installed in it. They are here, and we'll have another video of those coming up. So stick around. I'll show you what I'm going to do to the car to get it ready. It is not ready out of the box. We want to check some things out and then take it out and try not to explode it. So stick around. So here is our Rlaarlo, and it's in good shape. If you watched the last video, you may have seen it flipping around and bumping off curbs and such. Yes. That's 100%. As we just test drove it. No damage. The car is in tip-top shape. Still a bit of dust falling out of it. It's been cleaned up, so I'm going to be working on this car. Set it there for now, and we're going to be putting on the foam tires, because I think if you're going to do speed runs, probably run on foam. It's going to give you better contact, and they won't balloon, so that's important. And we have our camber and toe in, toe out set up here from Aeromax. We'll be using that. And I have a RC model accessories. I have a gyro from AFRC, and I have these in 7 or 8 cars. So I find these are quite good. Nobody sponsored me. I just think they're a good good gyro, and they're actually, I think, designed for drift. So this is the version. This is the GYS2 V4 3-axis racing gyro. So I find these work quite well. So we'll use that. We'll put that in. Some things arrived. We won't be installing this today, but in the future we do have some new rocket ESCs. These are from Surpass Hobby, and these will work with the big motors. These are surprisingly light. That's a bit disconcerting, but they aren't too expensive, and they are 160 amp. And the real problem with the ESCs that come in the Rlaarlo is they can't power these massive motors. So these massive motors will come later. We will test those out. So will these ESCs. So that's coming in the future. So we'll get this car set up with the motors that came installed in it. So let's get to work. First thing we'll be doing is checking that gear mesh. It doesn't sound quite right. Some of the commenters on the last video said the same. And there's like gold flecks off that center, not pinion, that center cog there. I did try to order bigger ones to get more speed, but they never shipped, so I canceled the order. Anyway, we'll try to set that gear mesh up a little bit better to start out. That's our first task, so we just loosen these top bolts, and that should work. Okay, that was pretty easy. I just use the paper method. I can do it by sight usually. Little rock on each, so that should be okay. It doesn't appear to be quite centered though. So these gears on the motor are not centered on the main sprocket there. I don't know if you can see that on camera. So I don't think I can adjust the location of this center one, but I can move these ones. I think that mesh is better. You guys can give me your expert opinions. It's definitely looser mesh, so it should generate less heat. And there's a nice rock inside of each. So when you do mesh, you don't want it so, you want if you move the pinion, there should be a slight movement before the spur moves. A little rock in there. Not a stone, but a little rock back and forth. And that's a good gear mesh. It's not too tight. If you run it too tight, you overstress your motors. So this is, I think, as good as we're gonna get. Now, I could put some lubrication on those gears. I tend not to because I find that's when you strip out plastic ones. However, and if you lubricate, it attracts dust. However, I am going to put slight lubrication. Why? Because that center spur doesn't seem very sturdy. So I'm going to use some Sierra grease. And we're just going to put a dab on each side. Just a dab. We're not gonna turn it white. We just put a dab on each side. It should be a little bit of more slipperiness in there if we spin this around a few times. We get really smooth. Really smooth engagement, and barely any comes off, so you can barely see it. Nice, that sounds much better. Nice and loose. Now, we're not going to do anything with the diffs today. The diffs are fairly stiff, so we're just going to leave them where they are. So let's take off the wheels. So we got to get rid of the wheels, and then we'll do some more settings. We're going to check our camber and our toe in, toe out. So we'll take the wheels off. There we go. So there is our setup. Everything is a little bit loosey-goosey over here. Let's check out front. It's interesting, the right side of the car is all slightly looser than the left. But shimming is the only thing that's going to change that. I think this back one, oh, it's not even on camera. So this back one is loose laterally, and the right one is not. So I think we need to put a shim or tighten something. So let's take a look at that. So a little issue. This piece is smaller, or it's the right size. The hole here, that's showing up on camera, is bigger. Look at the wiggle in there. It's so hard to show on camera. Anyway, the hole inside this upright is a different diameter than the rod going through it. So it wiggles. There, you can see that on camera. That is not good. So, machining. So how can we fix that? A sleeve. A sleeve for this part would work to reduce the diameter. I just have to figure out what to use as a sleeve. So I put some Gorilla Tape inside the upright, and I put in a shim and I get rid of about half the rock. But really, if you're gonna be speedrunning this stuff, I think, like seriously, you want to do this. You want to do this seriously. Stuff like that you just can't have. You need perfectly machined pieces. So my Gorilla Tape pushed out, unfortunately, as I shoved this on, because I put it inside. So there's more on this side than this side. So one side still rocks. The other side is okay. I'm going to leave it there. Gorilla Tape, obviously, is not the way to go. I shouldn't have to try to fix that. That should be closer. But things are the way they are. So let's move on and let's check the camber alignment. We'll do ride height. Then we'll look at that gyro. So this device will show me the angle, the camber of my wheels. So as it's set up now out of the box, the back one is positive . So toe in, I guess you'd say. So the back one is not toe in. It's leaned in from the top. The back one is leaned in at 4 degrees on this side, and on this side it's leaned in at 3 degrees. So they're not equal. The front, take a look at the front. The front left is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the right front is 3. So the wheels are not perpendicular and they're not even. So we should even them up. I don't know if I want them straight up and down. I actually think I do. So I'm going to straighten them out. So how we do that is with the tie rod adjustment. And we get this one at 0. Okay, so one set to 0. We'll go around and we'll set them all to 0. Okay, for the front, they have this interesting setup. When you have 3 holes and you put a screw in here. So I can't just adjust to dead center. It's 1 degree is as close as I can get it by moving the screw to the outside and sliding this top piece out slightly. So that'll have to do. Now we will set up the toe in, toe out. So that's pretty easy to do. You just take our guide here. So we will not hit the throttle. And we will not hit the throttle accidentally, because we will break things. And we will turn the steering to dead center here. And we'll manually set it straight. So this side needs to come out. This side just barely needs to come out. So they're not equal. Take the degrees here. It's 1, 2, 3, and the degree here, not even 1. So we will set that differently. Okay, since I don't have an easy adjustment to change the toe on the back, I believe it would all be in the mounting blocks for the rear arms. I'm not going to bother adjusting that to 0. The left one is as close to 0 as you can be without being 0. Maybe I can detach this and show you. So this one is as close to 0 as it can be without actually being 0. And on this side, it's about 1 degree 1.5. 1.5 degrees. So quite different. So since I think that is suspension blocks, and they're already out, that could be just on this side, on the right side, could be this loose piece. So we can see it wiggles 1/2 degree, even with the Gorilla Tape. Really unfortunate. So now what we need to do is set ride height. And I'll go over and check all the screws and stuff later. Anyway, if you're really into racing, if you're into speedrun racing, these kits are excellent. They just bolt up with thumb screws, knurled ends, right to where the wheels are. And you can do all your settings. So brilliant devices. Highly recommend getting a set if you, even in the racing. I had this when I was racing on-road track cars for doing my setup. So that's why I have this sitting around. I didn't buy it for this video. I'm going to check the ride height. I'm going to check the ride height with these on rather than the wheels. Because I'm wondering if it's equal all the way around. So I have a nice Aeromax height checker. Now mine only goes up to 7.9 millimeters. So you can get much thicker ones, especially if you're doing like off-road things. I don't even know if this is going to be thick enough. No. So this thing sets very high. I'm going to put the wheels on. I may just have to shim it up. I just want to see, make sure all sides are equal. I don't have a ride height in mind necessarily, so I'll take these off and then we'll get to setting ride height. I think we'll do it with the wheels on. So we'll put on the foam wheels. So the droop screws will lower it a lot. The front has been lowered to 7.8. So you have 7.8 on the front when I lower the droop screw the full way. I think that's a good height. Let's do 7.9. We'll make it lower a bit. Not too low. Okay, we do the front 7.9. So it's quite a bit lower. You get rid of a lot of that travel. Alright, so we've angled it slightly down towards the front. Keep the front down, so not as much travel in the front. We got a bit more travel in the back. I think we have too much because that will potentially lift a tire if stuff goes awry. So we're going to tighten down. We're going to tighten down our rear springs a bit. Now, let's change. I want to change this. There's a lot of wires we gotta change. Okay, there's their Dumbo RC gyro. It says Dumbo right on the side. Maybe it works. Maybe somebody knows how to make that work. I don't have time for that, so we'll use this one. Okay, so when we used this before, we give it lots of power. When it drives, the front wheels would wiggle. So I wonder if I sit here, if I can hold on to it, and I give it lots of power, will the front wheels wiggle? No. But the gyro definitely works. So we'll use that gyro. Pretty easy to set up. We're all good to go. Alright, we got 2 cameras going. Let's see how this works. We're back at this spot. It's windy today. That could affect our run. We got the car. In its convenient case. Ta-da! Take it out. Get our foam tires on. Let's see if this thing will go. So we also have our GPS. And we'll be sticking that on the car. Right there. Okay. Sounds like a helicopter. Sounds like a helicopter's about to take off. Let's turn on our GPS. We'll do a little test runs here before we try full speed. It's not coming on. So maybe we get no speeds. So that kind of ruins the speed run. It's not turning on. No lights. But I know I charged it. Unless it just residually died over the last 2 weeks. Oh! Okay, we won't have any speeds for our speed run, but we'll drive it anyway. Let's see how this works. Because we brought it all the way here. Let's see if that gyro works. No, that gyro does not work. That gyro does not work. So I'm gonna pull the gyro up again. I don't know why we struggle so much with gyros. holes in there. Something. Wires. Let's see. Rip that off. All right. Well. They lost the screw.
Sorry, could you say that again?
All right, so the screw to the front. The screw to the front steering cup came out, and unlike last time, I didn't bring any spare screws. So that means we're done. So not much of a speed run, but we had one fast pass, one actual fast pass, and it was when one of the ESCs was turned off. So this motor was driving the car and turning this motor. That's what happens when you turn off one ESC. So it was 3S, because there's only one battery running through. It was 3S, one motor turning the other motor, and it was lightning quick. There are loads of stones on the road today. So it is really not ideal speed running, because the car is so low that, because I set the height low, that when you go over rocks, you rip apart the bottom. And I'm ripping apart my straps. So I have maybe brought spare ones, but I don't need them because look at that stone. Yeah. So that's an easy fix. The threads are still good. It must have just got loose and came out. That's it. One wheel off. All right, I'm gonna go see if I can see the screw, just because. Why not? If I can see the screw, I brought my tools, so I can put it back in. The body, a little bit dirty. And we went under that iron. So when I slammed under that iron ramp over there, that's what turned off one of the ESCs, and I didn't notice. All right. So we can safely say it is certainly fast. So it's not like the AK-787 or whatever the first one was. It's not like the first version that promised you can go 100 kilometers an hour. My GPS died, so I don't have any GPS for you today. But it's quick. So I've had another car on this stretch, the BBX, and I think it was going 80. Do you remember? Yeah, it was 78, 80 kilometers an hour. So this thing, I never even hit full throttle, and it's going way, 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 way quicker than that. So I think if we had the GPS, we might have had a reading around 100 on one of those runs. I'm gonna go look for the screw. If I can find the screw, I'll film some more, and you'll see it. And maybe this won't be the ending. But if I don't find the screw, which is completely likely because it's a little tiny black screw, thanks for watching. Definitely more content coming. Don't know why I don't get I gotta look at the settings on that gyro. I don't really need a gyro. I want to say, for this car, it seems to run actually fairly well, unless you lose the back end. It runs fairly well with no gyro in it. Like really quick until it hits a stone. And a gyro won't help with that anyway. So I don't even think you need a gyro. So maybe going down this path of gyros is just kind of a silly waste of time. But yeah, we got to build this with the new ESCs and the big motors. Let's take a look at our pinions and our spur gear. That's something we adjusted earlier. So that middle spur does wear quite a bit, but the mesh is still good. That looks pretty solid. I don't see any other damage, and this thing slammed. That last crash past the car, I don't know if it's on film. It slammed the wall, and that's probably where the screw is. So I'm gonna go look for that screw. If you get the chance to buy one and you have space for it, buy it. I would say get these foam tires. Get the foam tires. This drives way better with foam tires. It's really easy to feel the difference. But I want to go look for the screw now. We've successfully broken the car slightly. Thanks for watching. This car will be back. I don't know if I'll come. It's almost scary fast on these motors. So I'm really curious about the big boys and how we'll run on those. So probably the next time you see it, we will have the big motors in. We may not come here. They're doing lots of construction over here, and they're bringing out truckloads of dirt. So the road is just littered with gravel and sand. So it's actually not as ideal. So we're gonna have a look around. Today, maybe we'll see another vacant road. There's lots out here. So that's all for now. Riddick needs to walk. Just nearly crushed my car. All right.